No, thanks for joining us today. Tell everyone here who you are, where you're from,
Sure.
and why you're in Congress.
Congressman Greg Steube. I represent Florida's 17th Congressional District. We call it the heartland of Florida, Southwest Florida. And we have more citrus trees and cattle than people, and that's kind of how we like it. So
I love that. That's good. Well, okay, so a lot of people love Florida. You guys are your governor down there is doing an incredible job kind of opening things up. What are some lessons that Joe Biden can learn from your governor down there and from kind of the way that you guys go about business down there in Florida?
Well, freedom's contagious, and freedom is what America was founded on, and people are driven to that, which is why people from all across the country are moving to Florida in flocks, especially from democratically run cities and states, because they want their kids to be able to go to an in-person class without being forced to have a mask on.
Amen.
They want their business to be able to operate and not be told to shut down, or with the expectation that it might be shut down. They don't want vaccine mandates on their businesses. All of these things that the democratically run states and cities are doing. And if you look at the overall healthcare numbers as it relates to COVID, we've had less deaths per capita than, say, New York City, and California. And it's because we protected the vulnerable population, our elderly population, and didn't betroth in the entire population and force all these mandates on them.
No, absolutely. So obviously here at GETTR, big pro-speech folks, hate cancel culture. Talk to us a little bit about the importance of the fight for free speech in our country, and kind of where you see this going over the next, few rest of Biden's term.
Sitting on the Judiciary Committee, and I have a bill on big tech, and trying to rein in the atrocities that have occurred on free speech, where you have the main platforms purposely and intentionally driving the conversation in a left direction, and using the power that they have and the people that are on Facebook, the people that are on Twitter, to depress conservative speech and to increase Democrat or liberal speech needs to be addressed when we take the majority back, 100%. And there has to be reform as it relates to Section 230. And I have a bill that would reform it, not do away with it. And the reason we don't want to do away with it is we don't want to affect the GETTRs of the world, these conservative platforms, and put them out of existence. There needs to be protection for the smaller companies as they get started. But if you are market dominant in the marketplace, which we have a market dominance test in our bill, then if you violate people's First Amendment rights, then you have a private right of cause of action against that platform. So, for example, the Hunter Biden story, that the New York Post story that Twitter censored,
that absolutely changed the
100%.
Yeah.
If my bill were to pass, New York Post would have been able to sue Twitter for depressing their First Amendment rights. And I think their entire behavior would change because there would be accountability. And right now, there's no accountability.
No, I love that. And I think they're creating an environment, obviously, in which they weaponize this massive influence they have to us, right? I think I always like to say this all the time. I love to co-opt their phrases, right? We need a safe space for conservatives to be able to organize and discuss our ideas, and where we can have a conversation where at the end of the day we're not calling each other names. You're not a racist, I'm not a Nazi. I think that's really important.
Well, and they've violated the law, because initially when Section 230 was put in, it was to allow for unedited content to put on these platforms. And the moment they're taking the steps in editorializing and doing their own narration and controlling the discourse, then they've stepped into what newspapers do and everything else. And so they should be held to the same legal standards as people that are editorializing. That's absolutely 100% what's going on. And they need to be held accountable. And this Republican majority, when we take the House back in November, will absolutely hold them accountable.
Oh, I hope so. We're counting on it.
100%.
Well, good. Okay, real quick, because I know you had a quick time window here. Like I was telling the gentleman before you, give Biden a honey-do list. What should be at the top? What are the top 3 things, action items he needs to go handle as soon as he leaves the state?
Number one, 100% is shut down the border. We have an invasion on our southern border. There's almost 2 million, I think it's over 2 million now, illegal immigrants that have come across our border. And what comes with that is terrorists coming across the border. What comes with that is fentanyl coming across the border. The number one leading cause of ages between 18 and 45, it ain't COVID, it ain't car accidents, it's fentanyl. And the fentanyl is coming across the southern border. So you have to shut that down. The second thing I would do is domestic production of oil. He shut it down his first day in office. He shut down the Keystone Pipeline. He shut down oil drilling on federal lands. If that was reversed today, you would see the price of oil and gas plummet in the United States. You would see us not reliant on, we're buying Russian oil now. Why in the world are we getting oil and gas from Russia when they're attacking a democratic nation, when we can produce it right here in the United States. That would affect the overall inflation, and it would affect the overall cost of gas right here in America, which is having a huge detrimental impact, not on the wealthy, but on the low to middle income that are working a couple jobs and now, balancing their checkbooks and don't have enough money to pay for the increase in cost in gas. So those are big ticket items, I think, that could be done right now, today. And why don't we go into Afghanistan and get our citizens that are still trapped there out? And why don't we go to Afghanistan and either destroy the $80 billion worth of military equipment that was there, or go in and get it out? I mean there's so many things that are within the purview of just him as the president. Yeah. Like, it doesn't require all of those things that I just said. None of them require the action of Congress. All of it can be done in the
They don't even know how many people they left behind, which is one of the most disgusting.
They won't even tell us.
I'm an Army brat, right? So, like, growing up, what we saw happen in Afghanistan is this absolute worst case scenario for someone like that, right? For a member of your family to be stranded and you not be able to you don't even know where they are.
And the government,
awful.
This White House, the Biden administration, has left them behind.
No, and they're actively obfuscating any efforts to go back and right this wrong. All right. Greg Steube's the man. Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
we really appreciate you.
Good to see you.
Go give him a hell out there today, okay? All right, you got to hold this guy accountable.
All right.